everyone is responsible for his sins. When we look at Ezekiel chapter number 18, all souls are mine. Every soul that sinneth shall die. The Father will not bear the sin of the Son. So then Pelagius says, no, I'm against this. It's hermeneutics. How do we understand hermeneutics? How do we understand the doctrine of the nature of sin? Right? The fourth one, tautology. These are things that separate the church. These are the things that separate the Catholic Church with the Protestants, especially when it comes to salvation. This is the very thing that separates the Protestants themselves. This one, la ilahlukana khona iladraw khona uline ukuthi wena uyiCatholic or wena uyiProtestant. Nakhona amaProtestant siyahlukana la. Asiqale Catholic. They say no, and umuntu obangwayo between the Protestants and the Catholics, Augustine. The doctrine of grace. Talk about salvation. Saint Augustine has this theory, no, we cannot naturally love God. That's why we do not have the ability to love God. But then God pours his love. Romans chapter number 5, verse 2. Pours his love in our hearts so that we respond in loving him until we earn our salvation. And the Protestants stand there and they say, no, we agree with Saint Augustine. Maybe our end conclusion might be different. Because the Catholic says, no, Saint Augustine is correct by saying we cannot naturally love God, but then he pours his love, then we earn his salvation. What do you mean by earn his salvation? Yeah. For the Protestant, the leadership of Augustine, he pours his love, then in the sense that God justifies us on the grounds of faith alone. To the end, we become fruitful towards him. So the works are the fruits towards God. They do not earn us a way to God. We get our way to God immediately when we believe. The Catholics say, no. I didn't understand to say Augustine. Saint Augustine. Saint Augustine uthi siyavumelana siqala ku same ground sonke sithi we cannot love God, but God pours his love. Then bese kuba khona izinto esizenzayo. Ama-indulgences, uthando lwakhe ilona lelo senza ukuthi senze o-Hail Mary, ama-indulgences and all those things until we come to this place where we earn his love. So we cancel off trends, bezama ukureconcile the two. They could not be reconciled. The Council of Trent yayilapha 1545 to 63. But normal Protestants nama Roman Catholics cannot meet. Bahlukana lapho. Behlukaniswa yona le article le separated by soteriology. How do we view soteriology? 5. Demonology. The study about demons. How do we view demons? How do we view Satan? In some quarters, Satan is just a notion, it's just a symbol of the nature of sin that is in us. Idealists. They believe that Satan is not a person, it's just an ideal, it's just an idea that works in the thought. So Satan, my figure, you don't know the thought that comes. And in some quarters, Satan is simply a boogeyman that fell from heaven and now is a rival, is the one that deceives many people. How do we view demonology? How do we view demon? Is a study about demons. So you need to look at that study correctly.
Satan is the ex-wife of God.
6th one. Okay, angelology. The study about angels. How do we see angels? studies lawo too awabahlukanisi kakhulu abantu. So, but kwamanye ama-quarters, especially in some quarters in charismatic movement, this makes other people to be fanatics. Babone everything. In geology. 7. Anthropology. Anthropos, from the Greek word anthropos. The word anthropos means man. A study about man. How does the Bible treat men? How does the Bible view men? Some people say a man is a spirit. He possesses the soul and lives in the body. Trichotomy. Theology of trichotomy. Then we work on a theology of dichotomy. A man is simply a soul having a body. Anthropology. How do we view men? How do we view men in their creation? 8. Eschatology. The study, from the word eschaton, the study about the end things. How do we view the end things? Yeah, zakhala sazofika la. Eschatology. Kukhona ama-preterist view, kukhona historicism, kukhona dispensationalism, kukhona futurism, kukhona idealism. Find these things, the separator abantu, separating people. 9. Ecclesiology. The study about the church in a period of leadership. Ecclesiology. How is the church led biblically? And how does it operate? Ecclesiology. So, now you amalokuzana a systematic theology that are understood more than elective topical preaching. As again, as we are looking at we hermeneutics then, so that I have a lot of ground to cover. And now on the assignment assignment. The word Bible. Now this was since the word Bible is translated through Latin word Biblia, because it's from the Greek word biblios, which simply means book. And the first person to use the word Biblia, it was Clement. First Clement chapter 2 verse number 14. Clement is an older saint. Some people say Clement lo Apostle Paula ikhuluma ngaye lapha Philippians salutation yakhe. Ukhuluma ngeTabiblia. The word Tabiblia means collection. Biblia means books, and we understand ukuthi le ndaba le yeTabiblia or Biblia or Biblios yaqala ukusetshenziswa uDaniel lapha kuDaniel chapter number 9 verse 2. Uthi uDaniel, I perceive the books, and igama lesebhele lapho uPesel Perim. I perceived the books. Daniel 9 verse number 2. Okay? So the Bible is the collection of books, or let me just put it like this, so that we can see a little Bible interpretation. The Bible is a library of books. To be precise, the Bible is the library of 66 books. Now, hermeneutics again. You go to a library. Do you know what? Immediately you step into a library, the first thing that strikes you is hermeneutics. Give me things that you will see in the library. Yes. The first thing that you will see was of Bona ama shelves. Right? And ama shelf in uzobona ama divisions and categories. You know about Chelubuti, fiction, non-fiction, history, geography, biography, all these things. uzoyibona hermeneutics le. Isiza leyo nto leyo. Isiza ukuthi ungafiki ube confused ukuthi where will I go? So if I want to study poetry, I know which section should I go for what? So then I will apply automatically the laws which govern poetry, interpretation of poetry.
Wow.
So automatically, ngisengiyazi ukuthi approach yami because ngikwazile ukuthola division ukuthi this is geography. So mangifika geography, my mind is set ukuthi kuzokhulunywa about places, kuzokhulunywa about spheres, climates and all those things. So angilindelanga ukuthi mangifunda geography uzongitshela ngehistory or poetry. Izinto zoba figurative. Izinto zoyifunda as literal as possible and their terms atholakala khona. Because these are what? Places. So iBible is library. Yes, what? The Bible is a library of books. Once you attend that, usuyangena hermeneutics right there. Because as it is a library, there are division of these books within the 66. Kukhona history. Ngiyazi usayidivide last week, but sizoba concise namhlanje. Sizongena kuzo lezi. Kukhona history. Sathi khona yini?
History.
So we have history. We have history. The next one? Poetry. Yeah? The next one? Epistemology. The next one? So we have these 4 divisions. So we have history. So now umfundi usuyafunda ke manje. So attend iBible. Awubhayizi. You know, you don't bhayiza here. You know, time a joke sekolila. You know, you don't bhayiza. You go, you understand, okay? You first divide these books. So you understand, kukhona ama-historical books, kukhona ama-poetical books, kukhona ama-epistical books, kukhona ama-apocalyptic books. Okay, sasizamuchaza lezi zinto lezi. Masikhuluma ngama-historical books, the first thing that strikes you is the word narrative. They are what? Narrative. It's a story. It's a given. You are given a story. Narrative is a story. So, a historical book, it's a narrative. It tells the story. And a story, what makes a story? There are factors that make a story. There are characters. Not just one character. Because if there is one character, it's no longer history. It is biography. Once a genre, because once a genre focuses on one character, it's no longer history. It is now a what? It's biographical. It's no longer historical. But history has characters. Are you with me? So, one of the things we narrative, it's a narrative. We have characters.
Places where those characters.
Location. So location. Locations are described. All right. Times. Now.
Also include events.
Yes.
Events.
Because when the only days are history, it still falls under narrative. Okay. Then Masa's history, guys. The common rule, you read it as literal as possible.
It's history.
It's history. You read it as what?
As literal as
Except
possible.
indicated. You read it as literal as what?
As possible.
2. The second rule. History. You cannot develop a doctrine out of history. That's them to emphasize on it.
Unjalo.
You cannot what?
Develop a doctrine.
Out of what? Why? The first thing is history is a narrative. And the nature of narrative is that narratives develop.
They develop. So if you get stuck there,
Yeah.
then what happened
Exactly.
at the beginning?
So you might take a doctrine, we refer or in the middle of the story,
Hey.
story singamechorang. Doctrine is from the Greek word didasko, which means teaching. It's something entrenched that is to be established and followed as a rule. So history is transitional. Say after me. History is transitional.
History is transitional.
Transitional.
That is very critical. It's like a person who goes to the book of Acts and develops a doctrine out of the book of Acts. No, the book of Acts, the purpose of the book of Acts is not doctrine, it is simply narrative. You go to Genesis and you try and extract a doctrine from Genesis. It is simply, in Genesis, if the story develops, it moves from creation to Adam and Adam, patriarchs, and there are covenants in between. Now the nation is formed. Then you have Exodus, this story unfolds. To Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Now this thing is explained in full. We have what we call Torah. Torah is now you have what we call doctrine. Why? Because the story, the narrative now is full. You cannot develop doctrine out of the narrative. Then this will be a pretext. So you are in asset. Fake ingqondo yakho uyayirape. It's strong. So that every time uzomkhumbula mawukhala you are raping. Yenza ngamabombo. So uzokhumbula njalo mawufunda masucabanga ukuthi uzoshuma uthi angigadi ukuthi ngingarape umbhalo. Ngoba phela ngeke ufunde igeography ngendlela ofunda ngayo history. Usuyirape phela igeography. Uyayiforce ukuthi ibe yilento ofuna ukuthi njani?
Ukufunda history accounting.
No. Now, asambeni sesisukile la kwi-history. So uyabona ukuthi i-history ibalulekile. Sibheka the narrative, sibheka the characters, sibheka the location, you need and shape. Times, I hope. Events. Asambeni sekwi-poetry.
But a question.
Yes, sir.
You cannot develop
A doctrine.
out of history.
Yeah.
And how then do we draw the line between consider your father Abraham and bese khuluma ngoHebrews chapter 12 ezinye zezinto chapter 11 amaqhawe okukholwa adlule kuzona ukuthi in history there are examples that we follow, certain actions that they did.
Okay.
Esiwathatha yokukholwa kwethu ukuze sikwazi ukuthi
Okay, uzophenduleka when you continue. Ukuthi i-doctrine developer yobukho. You see, azange uquote kwi-history. Uhambe waquote the prophets. Waquote the epistle. Wabuya wazobuya kwi-epistle. Epistle manje siyakwazi explainer from what has been fully developed.
Sure. Hayi ke siyabonga mnyeni. Umbuzo wakho.
Okay? So I would vele wahamba waya kwi-history set. uDavide urepresenta iqhawe lenko no. Ingakho phela
Evela nje usiya represent.
No. Don't allegorize it. Treat it as literal as possible.
And follow.
Suggest a follow. Alright? Asambe sekwi-poetry. Go to poetry. into yokuqala extractayo kwi-poetry.
Mhlampe before siye kwi-poetry ngiphakamisela umbuzo.
Yeah.
I-statement lesi esisho manje, how does it affect, if it does, i-principle ye-law of first mention?
Ngicela ukuthi ungishiye ungiyeke first mention njengamanje. Ngoba lapho sasuke sesiya kwi-grammatical interpretation. Sisazofika ku-grammatical interpretation.
Okay.
Yeah, ngicela ukuthi sime kancane. Ngoba mase sifika kwi-grammatical interpretation, sisazokwenza ama-kiporosho. Sisazobhala ama-kiporosho, sisazobhala isi-Greek and all of those things. So, ingakho ngithe sizogrila, ayikho into uthatha wonke ama-roots, ayikho into ezoyishiya. Sizohamba nayo yonke, sizohamba nesebheri, everything. I'll try my best ukuthi by the end of this month, many things zizelo kuzana the hermeneutics usuke usuyi-understand. That's why ngizoba hard when it comes to the assignment, because ayikho into engizoyishiya. That's why it's slow as possible because uzongizwa. Even when I teach Greek, I will teach it in such a way that uzokwazi ukusibhala, uzokwazi ukusifunda.
Sokhuluma ngesiGreek isithando ekhaya.
Poetry. What do we see when we attend poetry? The feelings of the writer.
Mizwa
Imizwa yobhalayo.
Hey.
Yena nifundiswa umoya wenkondlo yaqala yangena. Yabo hermeneutics iapply everywhere umoya wenkondlo. Because hermeneutics le. When nifundisa hermeneutics, you know, umbhali uzizwa enjani?
sithiwa sihluze sihlaziye.
Ihluze uyihlaziye.